One of the world's richest men is betting big on Kroger. We'll tell you why analysts are saying investors should sell. The Big Apple getting a taste of some of Greater Cincinnati's vegetables, why a local company is growing them on 5th Street. And a local brewery is taking pet-friendly to a whole new level. First Financial Biz Beat starts right now. Good morning and welcome to First Financial Biz Beat, presented by the Business Courier. I'm Kyla Woods. Perhaps the strongest and most important relationship in business is one between mentor and mentee. On the front page centerpiece this week, community through conversation. Mentoring pays dividends for companies looking to increase diversity. And the best relationships produce benefits felt well beyond the principles involved. In a couple days, we hope to make those relationships at the Courier's annual Biz Women Mentoring Monday. 40 of the most influential women in our community will be at the Cooper Creek Event Center for one-on-one coaching sessions. It will be a life-changing day for many women. And with me now is Ronnie Luckenbill, the CEO of Girl Scouts of Western Ohio. Thanks for being here, Ronnie. And Girl Scouts are one of the national sponsors of Mentoring Monday. And a lot of folks may not know that Mentoring Monday is taking place across the country, so not just here in Cincinnati. So let's get right to it. We want to talk about Girl Scouts being the national sponsor this year. How has the event helped the organization specifically reconnect with 50 million alum across the country?
Well, thank you, Kyle, for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And we're just thrilled to be partnering with the American City Business Journal on this partnership. It's a great opportunity for us. As you said, 50 million women were Girl Scouts at some point. That means that half of all female business leaders and owners were Girl Scouts. And they got their first opportunity in business through the Girl Scout Cookie Program. So this opportunity is a chance for us to reconnect with those women, and also for our Gold Award Girl Scouts who are participating to be able to be mentored by these young women, or by these role models. They get to practice their own networking skills, and they get to learn about the journeys that these women are on.
Mm-hmm. And if you've encountered a Girl Scout, I mean, let's just be honest, they are little business women. Like, they are taking these sales very seriously. That's why we all end up with boxes of cookies.
That's right.
So how does the program really help instill that confidence and leadership in girls at such a young age?
Right. You know, we've been developing leadership in girls for over 100 years. And our program is designed to let girls learn at their own pace and what they're interested in, what their passions are. And so we help girls by helping them to identify their own passions, their own interests, and relate to others, to network, to connect with others who have those same interests, and then to take action on those. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of ways that happens. Most people know about our more legacy programs like outdoor adventure and camping and the cookie program. But what girls are interested in today, besides those things which are still very popular, are things like STEM and entrepreneurship. So they may be doing activities that are in space science or cybersecurity or robotics. So you team those two things up, those legacy programs and those contemporary programs, and girls are actually, we're developing the leadership pipeline, that workforce pipeline for the future.
You're absolutely right. And you mentioned STEM as well. You know, a lot of folks may not understand, because we see the cookies. The cookies get such a prominent presence in our communities. But if you could talk a little bit more about maybe some of the STEM programming, if there have been any success stories that really stood out for you over the last year, the awards that you offer as well, those 3 levels. If you could talk about that as well.
Right. Yes. The highest awards in Girl Scouts are the Bronze, Silver, and Gold awards, and they're only available to Girl Scouts. So girls as young as kindergarten begin, you know, when they're 5 years old, looking at the needs in their community and saying, what can they do even in their own neighborhood to make it a better place for them to live? But as they grow older, especially when they get into high school and they're working on their Gold Award, they take it to a whole new level. And they're not just doing a service project or service learning. They are really making lasting, meaningful, and sustainable change in their community. And their community may be the local community, but it also might be national or global in scope. So I can think of an example of a girl Katie Rasmussen, who was really into STEM, and she was part of a robotics program through Girl Scouts in her school. And she recognized that there are girls in Cincinnati public schools who don't always have that opportunity to get involved in STEM the way she had. So she decided to develop 50 STEM kits for a specific school in Cincinnati Public. And so she collected Legos, and she had all of her friends and colleagues, people she knows, collect the Legos, put them all together, wash them, all the things they had to do, and develop the curriculum so that those kits went to that school. And then she had to make it sustainable, so she had to figure out how to help the school do a Lego drive every year to try to recoup that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that is really life-changing for girls and for the community.
Oh gosh, that's such a great story.
Yeah.
And so we talk about cultivating those leadership skills early in our young girls, and Girl Scouts is doing an incredible job with that. And we think about it as being an after-school program, but it just sounds like learning today is so much more than that. So we're just so thankful to have you as one of the national sponsor of Mentoring Monday, which again takes place on Monday. And quick thing we talked about before is you mentioned you can't go anywhere without cookies at this point. You've got to have the cookies to give and share the love wherever you're going. So if you see Ronnie out, just know she's got some cookies.
That's right.
In her hand or in her bag. Thank you so much for being here with us, Ronnie.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday. All right, in other news now, shares of Kroger stock shot up this week, thanks in part to billionaire Warren Buffett. His company, Berkshire Hathaway, purchased just over 2% of the shares at a price of $500 million. It makes Berkshire one of the company's 10 biggest shareholders and is generally seen as a vote of confidence in the company's management strategy. However, several analysts are telling investors to sell despite Buffett's investment because of Kroger's competition. Amazon, Walmart, and discount grocers Aldi and Lidl pose a threat to Kroger's profit margins. Fears about the economic impact of coronavirus are starting to shake Wall Street. The virus has killed more than 2,200 people, mostly in China, home to the world's second largest economy. Procter & Gamble does a lot of business there and is starting to feel the effects. Hard numbers aren't available yet, but P&G's chief financial officer says store traffic is down, production is slowing, and though some demand is shifting online, the supply of delivery operators and labor is limited.
A lot of people think when they think of a product that may be imported from China, it just goes from point A to point B, whereas there are a lot of intermediary steps in that process. So the ripple effects from the coronavirus are going to be pretty large.
P&G says the virus will affect both the top and bottom lines for the January to March quarter, but the company believes that their fiscal year earnings range remain the right ones. A local indoor farming company is on a mission to change the way the world eats. And now one of the busiest streets in America will get a peek at what they do. 80 Acres Farms is raising cherry tomatoes along Fifth Avenue in New York. It's part of an exhibition at the Guggenheim Museum. People walking by will be able to look through a large window and watch the crops grow under LED lighting. The plan is to grow 50,000 tomatoes in the exhibit. The first batch will be ready next month. 80 Acres expanded to Hamilton last year, building the first fully automated indoor farm in the U.S. It already sells its vegetables at many local grocery stores. A new condo complex in Newport is all about the views. Crews are transforming the old Baptist convalescent home, and the first phase includes 21 condos, all with floor-to-ceiling windows with the Cincinnati skyline view. Those are expected to be ready for move-in come August. The Sky Point luxury condos will cost anywhere from $300,000 to $600,000. In the meantime, Oakley could be seeing up to 800 new homes. The Community Council is considering two big developments. The former Kenner Toys property at Robertson and 34th could be turned into senior apartments, townhomes, single-family homes, and a park. The second project is at the old CASFAB facility near Oakley Station. That would be transformed into 300 apartments, office buildings, and restaurants. Both projects are getting mixed reviews.
We have use as land that's not been used. It's been, this particular property, the Kenner property, has been vacant for 15, 18 years. It's kind of an eyesore in the neighborhood.
The traffic has gotten, demonstrably worse over the years, which is not surprising. And I think this is just going to exacerbate it to an extent that it's going to make it very unpleasant.
The Community Council says it's looking at ways to ease traffic flow in the new developments. It's also working to make sure there's enough green space in all plans. City Council will have final say on both projects. A little over a week from their season opener, FC Cincinnati is looking for a new head coach. Ron Jans resigned this past week after an MLS investigation revealed a pattern of racially insensitive comments made by the coach. The MLS Players Association says reports that this involved singing along with a song were not true. And the association criticized what it calls attempts to manipulate the public conversation with false narratives.
There's no question that the findings from the players were that this was not one particular moment in time, that there were experiences and broader themes that were inappropriate and insensitive.
Jans was the club's head coach for just 6 months, and now the team is looking for their 4th head coach in just 5 seasons. Yohan DeMay will be the interim coach when FC Cincinnati kicks off their 2nd MLS season in a week. County commissioners give the green light for a new and bigger skywheel at the banks. The wheel on the river will be torn down March 2nd to begin work on the permanent wheel. That one will be 30 feet taller, and the plan is for it to open next March. More repairs are coming to the 154-year-old Roebling suspension bridge, lit up here for last year's Blink Festival. The Kentucky Department of Transportation is finalizing a restoration project, and state officials think the work will start a year from now and shut the bridge down for about 9 months. And you'll recall it was closed for months last year after a stone fell from one of the towers. The upcoming project will make permanent repairs to the sandstone towers and the steel deck cars drive over. Good beer and good pets. Can you beat it? 2 of mankind's favorite things. Well, now they're being used together. Streetside Brewery is set to release a new hazy pale ale called Who's a Good Beer? Oh, I love that because it's like Who's a Good Dog? Featured on the cans, adoptable pets from Ohio Alley Cat Rescue and Save the Animals Foundation.
We sent a lot of photos of our lobby cats because they are the most well-known faces of OR, but we didn't know which ones were going to be picked until today.
So we've been working with staff at OR for a while now. They've been our most successful fundraisers, and we just thought this was a natural partnership between all 3 of us to fundraise in any way that we could for people and animals that needed it.
Sounds like a perfect combination there. 25% of every 4-pack sold and $1 from each drink served in the tap room will go to the organizations. Up next on First Financial Biz Bee, we'll take you inside Ohio's best restaurants and why live jazz is making a comeback in the Queen City. And welcome back to First Financial Biz Bee. We want to congratulate Cara Sevilla. She's the Senior Manager of Development and Grants at Strive Together and another one of our 40 Under 40 honorees. Well, Orchids continues its reign as the best restaurant in Ohio, at least by AAA standards. The restaurant in the Hilton Netherland Hotel earned 5 diamonds, the highest rating possible for the 6th consecutive year. It's one of only 67 restaurants in the country to earn the prestigious rating. And 2 other local spots, Boca and Nicola's, earned 4 diamonds. From best restaurants to best grocery stores, we have that too. RateBeer.com says Jungle Jim's is at the top of the list in Ohio and one of the best in America when it comes to beer selection. And Cincinnati will get a new discotheque this summer. The dance club, with an emphasis on live DJs, will be across the street from Rheingeist. Richard Cook and husband Martin Wagner are behind the project. They revitalized the T-Dance concept here in Cincinnati a few years ago. Those events draw 400 to 500 people every Sunday. And the Tri-State has been lucky enough to hear that band every Wednesday for the past 40 years. It's the Bluest Big Band at their new home, Cafe Vivace in Walnut Hills. Cincinnati may not be the home of jazz, but it's more than a big player. And places like Cafe Vivace are behind a resurgence in live shows in the city. The owners started a nonprofit last year with the hope of showcasing not just local talent, but internationally known artists. Their goal was to bring in 4 international acts this year. Well, they've already booked 2, and it's only February. This week in The Scoop, we're talking about making money. Business Courier Market Engagement Director Kelly Snyder is with Chris Kleeman, First Financial's Director of Investment Planning and Client Experience. They're at our downtown set with tips on how to set yourself up for a nice retirement.
Thanks, Kyla. Welcome, Chris. When it comes to financial planning, a lot of people tend to delay actually doing something. Can you talk a little bit about why a formal financial plan is so important?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think just generally today, people are very busy. And I can speak from personal experience as a husband, father of 4, and a full-time working professional. There's not a whole lot of time left over at any given day to have these types of conversations. I also think for a lot of folks, it can be intimidating. It can be a little scary. And I like to use analogies to kind of make connection points. So I'm not a home builder, but if I were to rush out and dig a hole and pour a foundation and start framing it out, I would hope to have a blueprint in my hands when I'm making those decisions. Financial decisions should be very much the same way. We should make decisions that are really tied back to a plan and the goals that we want to achieve. I often joke, having a plan is the best plan. Really, when you think about it, you should work with a planner that is very comprehensive in nature and looks at all these various interconnected components of your situation. And really what that'll do is going through that planning process, it allows us to assess risks and then put in place solutions that can help you achieve your goals. Favorite quote that I have is from Ben Franklin. He said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I certainly think that's applicable to the topic.
Sure. So what areas do you typically include in a financial plan?
Yeah, it's not really a one-size-fits-all concept, but I would say what's really at the core of the conversations with our clients is really their goals. And we ask them really to take a long, hard look and A, define those goals, B, we help prioritize those goals, and then C, quantify those goals. And it's not enough just to say, well, I want to retire. We've got to get very specific. We then go to work really analyzing all the information we know about them. So it's assets, liabilities, cash flow, benefits, insurance, et cetera. And that gives us 2 distinct things. 1, we really have a good understanding of what they want to achieve from a goal perspective. And then 2, what resources do they have available in order to achieve those goals? And that really helps us understand what their probability of success is going to be.
That makes sense. So studies show that people have a very low amount in their retirement accounts. How do you help people set goals and then go on to attain those goals?
Yeah. The numbers are pretty abysmal, generally speaking. We do shy away from rules of thumb or broad-based assumptions. Every client's unique. We want a unique plan that really embodies their situation. Having said that, from a retirement planning standpoint, we can model out income and expenses in retirement. We can also project how their portfolio will perform before and then during retirement as well. And again, when the time comes to make a decision to retire, they'll have a plan in place that hopefully supports that.
Good. Well, Chris, thanks again so much for being here. Kyla, back to you.
Thank you. Such a great interview there. Well, still to come on First Financial Biz Beat, the thrill-seeking accountant, and hear how another CEO balances work and life, coming up after the break. Accounting and thrill-seeking aren't often used in the same sentence, but Robert Steele doesn't fit the accountant stereotype. He's jumped out of airplanes more than 1,000 times, owns his own plane, and even has a hot air balloon license. And when he's not out thrill-seeking, he's running one of the largest architecture firms around. And for him, that offers its own kind of thrills.
There is a physical representation of that creativity, and for me, it's just a great thing to be able to take family, friends, clients to projects that we've designed that have become built and that people are either living in, working in, playing in, and it's just it's a monument of the creativity.
As chairman and CEO of one of the area's largest general contractors, there's no normal week for Mel Gravely. What is normal is getting his exercise in. Gravely is here to talk about how he stays sharp with Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith. Hi, guys.
Hi. Thanks, Kyla. Rod, thanks for being here today. You know, I'm excited that we started this feature, Healthy Balance, because it really helps me see that other people that have schedules as busy as mine still find time to get Healthy Balance in, right?
Sure.
How did you start running? You said that's what you do to stay
that's my
balanced.
that's my drug of choice for sure is running, and it really kind of crept up on me. You know, my wife and I started walking, and I wanted to push it a little bit more, and I started running some, and now I've negotiated a settlement with my orthopedic doctor that I will only run on a treadmill, but. It's just turned into something that it's a lifestyle thing, and if I don't do it, I'm just out of sorts. It just I don't feel the same. My mind's not as sharp. I don't sleep as well, and so it's become that important. To me.
So, when you talk to others that say, "Well, I can't do it because of my schedule,"
sure.
What do you say to them?
Well, you know, it is a part of my schedule, is what I say to them, that it's that important or it's not, and just like anything else that you prioritize, it's got to happen. And so I just set broad goals that allow my schedule to make it work. For example, in my mind, I'm always thinking 4 and 20, 4 times a week, 20 miles total in a week. So I can look back on a week and say, did I win or did I lose? And since I'm a pretty goal-oriented person, I want to get to 20 miles and I want to get to 4 times in that week. And that way, if whether I get it done in the morning, which is my preference, or if I got to come home and it's 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night, and I got to get in at night, it's still on the to-do list. And so for me, that works for me, setting out those broad goals, giving myself some latitude, but either it's on the schedule or it's not. It's not an optional thing for me.
Well, we talked a little bit offset that, you know, I get up at 5:45 3 days a week and work out with the trainer. You're like, oh, no trainer. I think that's the key, is finding what works for you, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I know myself, I need somebody kicking me to say get out there and do it. But it's great if you can build that into your schedule.
Well, and I've got a wife that's very active, and so, you know, it's hard to watch her go work out and you not do anything. I also do little tips, like in the morning, I'll put my gym shoes out and get my workout gear out so that it's kind of hard to say, you know, it takes you very long. The shoes are sitting there, the gear is there. All you have to do is put them on and get on the treadmill and go.
Well, there's something to be said, too, about the guilt of missing, right?
Yes.
I mean, and it's not even, you know, my trainer puts guilt on me, but I put a lot of that guilt on myself.
Absolutely.
And I'm like you, I feel so much better after the fact.
And it's hard to know you missed it if you didn't set the expectation. That's why I say I just go back to 4 times a week, 20 miles a day. I'm sorry, 4 times a week, 20 miles a week. And I know if I won or lost.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing it, because I'm sure that's what keeps you in the game, and what you're doing for the city and your business and just everything you've done through the chamber and everything else I've watched you do.
Thank you.
Keep doing that, because we need you around for a while.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for being here today.
Good to have me.
Kyla, back to you.
Thank you, Jamie and Mel, and thank you for joining us this morning for First Financial Biz Beat. I'm Kyla Woods. I hope you have a great weekend.